What's up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Nerd Castle for the next episode in our weekend review series. It's the first one I've done in a little while. I think last week I got one out, but before that there was a big 6-month gap in between me making these videos, and honestly I do feel guilty about not keeping up with it because this is a big deal series for me. I think that it's an opportunity for me to talk with all of you and just sort of give you my rationality for things going on in the channel and talk about, I guess, a little bit behind the scenes and stuff like that. You know, just do I like this game? What do I like about this game? What's been on my mind? What was I doing this week? It's really not meant to be super entertaining. It's just sort of a look inside my life and just what I do every single day, all day here on YouTube. So welcome back. Weekend review time. So I just got back from the movie theaters. Actually, I got popcorn stuck in my teeth. Before that, I went and I got this big badass calzone. I posted a picture of it up on Twitter. For real, it was the most ridiculous calzone that I have ever eaten in my entire life. I ordered it. It was $4.50. It was $4. And I was like, it can't be that big, right? It's gonna be the size of a Hot Pocket. And they brought this thing out and it was the size of a keyboard. And so I was like, oh my god, with the number pad. With the number pad. It was an enormous calzone. And so honestly, I'm feeling a little bloated right now. Just got back from the movie theater. I went and saw Minions, actually. I'm a big fan of Despicable Me and Steve Carell. And so I wanted to check it out, but I wanted to wait. You know, I don't like going to the movies right when a movie comes out, unless it's a big deal. If it's something like The Lord of the Rings or, you know, Star Trek or something like that, I'll go see it at midnight. But I haven't seen a midnight premiere in a long time. But typically I try to dodge that because I don't like it when the theater's super crowded. You got somebody kicking the seat behind you and people putting their feet up on the back of your head and stuff. I'm like, ah. Anyways, caught a flick today. It was alright. Minions was okay. It was definitely slapstick. It was definitely a little kid's movie. I'd be like, duh. But anyways, figured I'd bring it up. If you have small kids, you could take them to see it. It'll be funny for kids. Got a lot of slapstick type stuff going on. Lots I think they were sort of invoking the Three Stooges with a lot of the random humor and whatnot, but it was decent. I think it was alright. It was a good way to spend an afternoon. Hung out with the fam, saw a little movie, and had a good time. So what's been going on at the channel lately? Things have been going alright. I mean, I feel like we're treading water right now. We kind of had a really good period last year, and then I just feel like I've been treading water for a really long time. That's how it feels to me. I feel like I'm not really making headway on YouTube. I feel like things are just sort of they've been staying the same, and I've talked to other YouTubers about it, and so this seems to be fairly standard with the way that other people describe their process on YouTube too. It's kind of just long periods of just being plateaued, and then randomly you'll hit something and be like, oh, let's get a little bit bigger, and then you plateau out for a little bit longer. So it's not a big deal. I'm pretty happy with my progress right now. Honestly, what I'm really stoked about is how well the streams have been going. I mean, the streams have been a blast. I think this week we played Darkest Dungeon for a little while, which was really fun. We had a good time. I had a couple drinks in, and we started cracking jokes and sort of making fun of things. We took care of, what else did we do this week? Oh yeah, we did Viking Conquest. I know that Paradox emailed me a couple days ago, a week ago. I don't know, I'm bad at time and I'm bad at answering my emails. So if you emailed me and you're waiting on me to send something back, I apologize. I am so awful with my email. It's funny because I sit down and I'm like, I'm gonna do stuff today. I hunt and peck like that. I'm like, I want to do some stuff today. Mavis Beacon doesn't control me. I type like I want to. I'm free. And so anyways, I don't know. I sit down and I plan on just mashing out 100 emails. But then I get through the first 2 or 3 from developers and other YouTubers and fans, and it turns out that they all take a lot longer than I figured they would. The questions people hit me with are really complicated. I'm like, well, damn, I can't really answer this with a one-liner, can I? I gotta be like, well, philosophically, I'm gonna give you 17 paragraphs totally explaining my motives and really what I think right now. It becomes troublesome, and so I need to get on top of it better. I hit I don't know, I hit the emails and I get through 5 of them, and then I'm just like, ah, my fingers feel like they're on fire, the keyboard's glowing, it's all molten with plastic, putting carcinogens in the air. And I don't know, it's just I feel like I hit snow, big, you know, when you're going really fast on a sled and you just smack right into a powder hill? That's kind of what I feel like when I attack because I get so many, and I just feel guilty about it. But I'm going to try and get back with all of you. I renewed the ARK server, so the ARK server is still up and running. I paid the fees on that yesterday because I think they knocked out the server for, I don't know, a couple hours. I'm not even sure what happened, but either way, the server's back up and running. It's all good to go. So if you wanted to play on my ARK server, you more than certainly can. I'm probably going to be booting onto it sometime this week and trying to put in some time with it. I know it's one of those things. It really is. It's one of those things that I have so many random just commitments and things that I'm trying to do right now that unfortunately I'm just bad at time management and I'm bad at getting things done. The kitten right now, you know the little donger that's on the back of doors, the thing that goes every time you hit it with your paw or your hand or whatever piece of biological manipulation equipment you've been gifted with. He's playing with it right now. He enjoys it. It's his favorite thing in the whole world. I wake up in terror at 5 in the morning to every single night, and I think that there's some burglar checking to make sure that I've got the proper stoppage devices on all of my wall holes. But anyways, I think that we got a couple things going on right now with the Nerdcastle. I'm really, really pleased with the Twitch stream. That's like the biggest thing right now, is that the Twitch stream has just been growing like a weed. We did like 250 viewers the last stream on a game that was like really, really old. People were in it, they were talking. I've been letting the liquor flow the last couple times when I've been up on the stream, because honestly, I think it helps me loosen up a little bit with stuff and not be like so serious. Like, I have a problem sometimes when I hit like, when we're on camera, you know, and I'm like trying to entertain people, and then you hit like a brick wall in like a game. I don't know, it's a frustration for me, and I think the liquor helps me like pogo stick over that. And so we've been having a really, really good time. The last week and a half or so to 2 weeks, like the streams have just been fantastic. And so I did want to thank everybody for coming to those on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 5 o'clock. It's been a blast. Without you guys there, it would not have been nearly as entertaining. And so other things that we got going on with the channel. So first up on the block is Icy, I guess. We're on episode 8, 9, or 10 of Icy right now, and I'm still enjoying the game. Honestly, for being a narrative-driven survival game, I'm really, really liking it. I was a tad worried because, honestly, other than the press, like, I get a press sheet for most games when they send them over from developers and things like that sort of describe what the game was, and I watched a couple gameplay videos of, like, their early sort of Kickstarter footage or whatever, and I was like, I can't tell if this is a graphic novel or if it's an actual, like, game. And I've been really, really pleased with that game. The narrative is really, really good. I find that the game is a little bit simple, but other than that, they've crafted a game world that is fun to play around with. It's kind of like the Arctic version of like Waterworld, basically, where you're just wandering around on the tundra, having a good time. There are some twists and turns coming. I think you guys are going to like the story as we go through. I'm not exactly sure what happened in the last episode that we went through, but there are definitely some things that are going to shake up the party a little bit in the future. We're going to lose a couple of party members, so if you're attached to anybody, get ready for that roller coaster ride, because it was just like, nah! Like, when it happened, it's pretty intense. It's a fun little game, and I think that, honestly, a lot of people ducked that game. I've been so surprised by the fact that really, like, nobody on YouTube covered it. Like, a couple of little channels did, but much beyond that, I think I'm the only channel over, like, 100,000 subscribers that really decided to give it any playtime. But at this point in my YouTube career, I'm sort of like opening up on just like random games and just kind of like doing anything that lands inside of my inbox right now, because I've become more and more jaded with gaming lately. It's kind of like one of those things where I don't know if I'm just getting old and I've just seen a lot of games, because on any given week I probably play 8 to 15 games that developers have sent over, and I've just started to get that feeling of just like seen this before. And so in order to get out of that, I've really been trying to go after indie games lately with like fresh eyes and just be like, you know what? Imagine that I'm an 11-year-old kid in an arcade. I pop in a quarter. This is what I get out. And I think that it's really been helping me. I've been working really, really hard on trying to be more positive in life and trying to just sort of like get out of this weird like 4-month malaise that I've been in. I haven't brought it up a whole lot on the channel because it wasn't pertinent, but I don't know. I feel like I've been stuck in molasses lately. And so Icy was one of those games that, you know, it's been helping me out of the ditch. I think that it's a fun game to record. I don't mind doing it. I enjoy doing the little voiceovers and kind of just reading things out. I think it's a great game to just like have on the side, because you don't really need to see what's on screen anyways while I'm playing. And so that actually makes for like the best LP material, is stuff that you can kind of just like play Dwarf Fortress over here and kind of like listen to it or watch it on your second monitor while you're not really paying attention. I got like a colossal nose itch right now that decided to hit me right in the middle. I don't know what it is about being live on anything, but your nose will start to itch. Maybe it's just me, but it happens to me all the time. Ask people from the stream. My nose is always just like, argh! It gets so itchy, and I don't know why, but maybe it's like a nervous thing. I don't know. We got Stalker going again. I wanted to apologize formally for Stalker. Icy is going well. Stalker's the next thing. It's time and planning, and unfortunately, that's one of those things where my ability to properly schedule my own time usage has really sort of folded over. We got a lot of series running right now, and Stalker was like the easiest to back burner because it's like an old game, and like it can wait, you know what I mean? Whereas with new games, you really sort of, I don't like it, but with new games, you have to cynically like capitalize on the fact that they're new, and that's like just a fundamental tenet of YouTube. If you want to be successful on YouTube anymore, you got to be on top of new games. And so with older games, it's always so much easier to backburner them than like newer stuff, because you know you're missing out in certain metrics and things like that. Or if you don't do the newer stuff, somebody always asks you about it. They'd be like, so why didn't you cover this game? And I'd be like, well, I was going to, but I was working on this, and I don't know. There's not enough hours in the day. There's not enough hours in the day. The time really does truly fly by. However, with Stalker Clear Sky, I'm pleased with the game so far. I found that we're not in the garbage anymore. I was disappointed with that whole robbery scenario. I just didn't enjoy that very much. And they pull it again on you later on. I'm not going to spoil it for right now, but I feel like Stalker Clear Sky is kind of a weird game, because once you mod all the bugs out and you make the complete mod and everything else, you try to make it a little bit better, it just seems like the developers have like these bursts of genius, and then in between there, they're just like, I don't know what to do, and so they put in filler content, and the filler content is just sort of like, but like the good content is so good. It's a weird game like that, very weird game, but I do like the way that the factions fight over the different areas. We haven't truly gotten into like the real skirmishing yet, where we're part of a faction and we're actually like influencing the way that combat is going down, but I think we should be in the next recording session. I sat down yesterday, I recorded 4 or 5 episodes. I had some major salt though. I had to sit down. We hit like a really, really hard part in the game, and I was just like, you know, like when you gotta sit the controller down violently and just walk out of the room and go watch TV for a while. I hit one of those points, and I was just like, So I beat that though. I made sure that I beat it before I set the controller down or whatever and gave up on it. But I beat the hard part. We're gonna come back with fresh eyes, I think, on Monday. It's gonna be pretty good. I'm still stoked about Stalker, but I know I owe you all an apology. I know there's people that were like really, really waiting on that to put out the next episode, and I've been letting you all down, so it is what it is. We got Empyrion going on. Empyrion's another game that surprised me. I haven't played Space Engineers or anything like that, but Empyrion got sent over by the developer. No, Empyrion didn't get sent over by a developer. It got sent to me by one of my colleagues, actually. He was like, have you seen this game? Do you want to play it? I got an extra key. And he sent it on over, and I sat down and I fiddled with it for a couple of hours, and I was like, I like this. I'm having a good time with this game. The multiplayer isn't enabled yet as far as I know, unless you got like a private server or something. You can log in to the multiplayer, but there's no server browser yet. Like, you've actually got to connect to an IP and do all like the old complicated stuff you used to have to do back in the old days with like Counter-Strike and whatnot. But anyways, I've only been playing like single player, which is our series right now. We dropped the first episode yesterday. The second episode should be up today. And you know, it's like, it sucks. Like, what happened is I played the game for like a week because I wanted to be knowledgeable about the game before I started playing. And then the day I started recording, I wanted to kind of be like a tutorial guide. The day I started recording, they dropped a patch that moved all the keybinds around. It changed like what all the gear does and essentially like rewrote the entire game. And like, I spent a good 2 hours just banging my head against the desk, just being like, if it weren't for bad luck, I would have no luck at all. That's just the story of my life. And so I sat down to do like a well-educated playthrough of Empyrion, and it figures. I did it on the day where they patched the game and changed everything around it, so I still ended up looking like an idiot. It's like, well, what are you going to do sometimes? What are you going to do? But I do like the game. I think that it's got a lot going for it. It's sort of like if you enjoyed Reign of Kings, basically the exact same thing, just with like planets and space. And then you can land on the planets and run around and like build land bases, and you can build Land Rovers and all kinds of cars and space vehicles with guns all over them and stuff like that. You can make low altitude vehicles. You can make vehicles that are supposed to get out of the atmo. It's a fun little game, and I've been playing around with it a lot. I've got about 20 hours into it right now, and I think it's going to be a fun series. I think this is going to be one that people are going to like the game. It's not super pretty to look at, but at the same time, it's got a lot of the same aspects that I think people enjoy about Ark and Rust. It's got a lot of the things people like about Minecraft and StarMade, and it's actually combining a lot of ideas, and I think it's aiming to be kind of a more complicated game. Like, the building in that game is a lot more difficult than things you would expect from, like, vanilla Minecraft, for example. It's a lot like what you would... I don't think it's quite as bad as, like, Tekkit, or as bad as, like, Feed the Beast or anything like that. It's not as complicated, but it's still sort of like Minecraft a little bit harder, like with a few more things you got to pay attention to and be aware of. And so I think we should be able to turn Empyrion into a pretty fun playthrough. I'm still planning on doing Eden Star, but I gotta find a slot for it. I really sincerely do, because we got too much stuff running. I may let Better Late Than Dead go. That's the next game up. Better Late Than Dead, I don't know. Like, it's got a lot of flaws and it's got a lot of problems. But the biggest one of all, like, I enjoy just fiddling around with the game because I think bugs and things like that are funny. I enjoyed fiddling around with the game for a bit, but we've hit a point now in our playthrough where I'm just like walking around in circles looking for key cards, and I can't seem to find them anywhere, and I've put in a couple hours looking for them now, so I may just like let it go and just be like, and move on to something else, and that might be where we get room for Eden Star, or this might get you guys all nice and moist. I may be starting a Viking Conquest playthrough pretty soon. I've been streaming it the last couple days, and, you know, Paradox emailed me a couple of weeks ago and they were like, hey, we know that you didn't cover this game and we saw like tweets or whatever that you made about it. We saw your review up on Steam, but we want to let you know we've retooled the game a bit. We've tried to fix everything we could as fast as possible, and we're doing Reforged Edition, and we'd like you to check it out and just kind of give your thoughts. And you know, I'm really cynical about some of the... I feel like the problem with Mount and Blade is that the core product is always very good, but I don't know, the last couple DLCs they've put out for like various products have just been really just iffy. I did not like with Fire and Sword. Viking Conquest didn't do anything for me. The Caribbean one didn't really do anything for me. It just seems like the quality control on the DLCs that they're putting out just needs to be a little bit higher, because you run the risk. The problem here that I think that Paradox is facing is that Mount and Blade is like one of their flagship series, right there next to, you know, Crusader Kings and, you know, all the other random, I think, like, do they do Europa Universalis? I know they do a lot of, like, grand strategy games, and they've got a couple of flagship series, but, like, the biggest jewel among those are Crusader Kings and Mount and Blade, which are, like, the games that people are rabid about. I'm included. I'm not a huge Crusader Kings fan, but I am just a drooling, slavering beast when it comes to Mount and Blade, and I really hope you run into an issue where if all of your DLCs are sort of going to be subpar and just iffy and just sort of scratchy like a wool shirt when players put them on, it's going to scare people away from the core product eventually. Now, I think the other thing about that is that their DLCs aren't as good as some of the other mods that are out. So, like a Clash of Kings, very good mod. There's Florus, which is just, like, the best. If you like Mount and Blade and you just want expanded Mount and Blade with, like, more stuff to do, Florus is absolutely fantastic. There's so many dozens, and I'm not even hitting, like, all of them right now. That's just two of my favorites. There's Brittenwaldo. There's so many amazing, like, 1,000-hour DLCs that are free, or 1,000-hour mods that are free out there from just, like, random guys in their basement that they're making in their free time. And I think that also hurts the DLCs for Mount and Blade a lot because Viking Conquest came out and it was nowhere near as good as just like Brittenwalda, even though it was made by the same people. And so anyway, it seems like they fixed the game up. I started streaming it last week and I had a good time doing it. It was fun once you start getting some of the basic stuff out of the way. Viking Conquest flows a lot differently than normal Mount and Blade or really from any of the other mods. It's a little bit stranger, but at the same time, if you've played Brittenwalda, it's not too bad. And so I've been thinking about doing one. I know that the other night I posted a tweet about just being sort of ready to go with Mount and Blade again. I have like, this probably happens to most Mount and Blade players. I play Mount and Blade in like stints of like 100 hours. And so I'll play 100 hours and then I'll get bored and then I'll like leave it on the shelf for 4 or 5 months. And then one night I'll be like, yeah, I feel like playing some Warband right now. And not like a normal, just like I want to play around, like I want to binge, like not bathe for like 5 days, inhale candy, not work out, be sweaty and disgusting, and just play Mount and Blade for like a week. And I started to get that itch this week. And if I'm going to do it, I know it's one of my favorite series from all of you. I know I got a lot of fans that came in from there. And I think there's only like 1 or 2 other people that cover Mount and Blade. There's like the Reformist, I think is his name. And then there's like 1 or 2 other people, but I mean, I always feel like Mount and Blade Warband doesn't really get the love that it deserves. Even though there's like 1 or 2 channels that do 100% Mount and Blade content, I still feel like there's not a ton of people covering it. And so I might make a Viking con. It's not 100%, so don't quote me on it. You know, don't put me on the stretcher. Don't send me to the gallows if I don't end up doing it. But I've definitely been contemplating doing it, and so that's better than before where I was just like, I just really am not in the mood anymore. Our last playthrough was 100 episodes. It was a lot. It was something that was difficult to orchestrate because you're constantly trying to figure out something interesting to do in each episode rather than just like running around in circles. Viking Conquest, I think, so it circumnavigates that a little bit because the world is very interesting and there's like stuff to walk around and just find and do along the way. And so we may play around with that. We may play around with it, so there it is. I figured I'd get it off my chest, but I guess back to the original point that I was pushing out. Better Late Than Dead is probably going to be stepping off stage pretty soon. It seems like public interest has sort of fallen off anyway, so we'll see what happens with it. Terraria, yeah, 1.3. This week you're going to see us go into hard mode. I don't want to spoil too hard, but you got about 4 episodes left until I go into hard mode. And I'm actually a little bit lost in hard mode, but we have the fight with the Wall of Flesh. It's a lot of fun. You guys should check it out once it goes up on the channel. And then I get to get my feet wet with something I'm completely and totally not used to. Now, our island, unfortunately, our lands in Terraria, we weren't super lucky. We didn't get a lot of sky islands. We only got 2, and they were both very, very small. I've actually searched the entire sky now because I was trying to find a couple of sky islands to put. I found 2 of them on stream, and then I wanted to put another one on camera for YouTube, but there's none left. We only had 2 sky islands and only 1 sky chest, and so it's a little bit weird right there. But anyways, I don't know if going into hard mode I should make a new map. I've been playing around now for about an hour and a half, just not really doing anything, just exploring and getting a feel for like the way that hard mode works and like what 1.3 has going on with it. And we might need to make a new world. I don't know. I'll see what happens. I like the one that we have going right now, and I think that you guys are acclimated for it. And like it's sort of a world that we've grown to love, and we've gotten used to where everything is. Like if you go left, we've got land, desert, land, jungle, and then you've got the ocean. And then if you go in that direction, you've got corruption, and then you've got land, you've got corruption, snow, and then you hit the beach. Actually, you hit the dungeon, then you hit the beach on the other side of the dungeon. And so we've gotten kind of used to like everything on our lands. I don't know. I'll see how it goes. But anyways, stay tuned for that. I'm still having a blast with Terraria. In all honesty, I really, really like the game. I've been having fun with it, and this was like a really cool opportunity for me to play an old game. Like, that big patch was sort of a gift from the developer that revitalized everybody's interest in the game, and so it gave me the wave that I needed in order to ride through and do a series, because I don't think without 1.3 that public interest would have nearly been quite as high, and so that's been really, really fun. Terraria, it's a hell of a game. Like, it's one of those ones that really sort of puts a lot of other sandbox games to shame, no joke. Like, it's a game that's got so much going on inside of it. Like, everything inside, there's little secret things, you can combine weapons, there's so much gear and so many random items. You can really see why it's so beloved. The Flame and the Flood, I'm calling that one to a close. I'm calling that one to a close because I think that I could do another run, and there is stuff we haven't seen just yet, but none of that stuff is anything other than crafted gear. Like, everything that we haven't seen is just crafted stuff. Whereas we're not, I mean, I think the problem right now with the Flame and the Flood is that it's a little bit primitive to do a long-term playthrough because it's supposed to be a roguelike, but like at the end of the day, every single island is sort of the same. Like, they all kind of look the same. There's like churches, there's fishing shacks, there's farms, and then there's sort of like a generic island, and then it just rotates those over and over and over again. Once you get further on into the game, like down to like 15 kilometers and whatnot, it becomes a little bit more interesting, but I just don't think I can float the series any longer, so I think I'm going to let it go. We streamed Caves of Qud. I put that footage up as a test. I wanted to see what people's interest was. I was trying to gauge whether or not people would be interested in me playing Caves of Qud. It's a game that I have about 60 hours played in right now. I've been playing that a lot, like getting really, really into it. I've played Truekin, I've played Mutants. It's a roguelike that I think is pleasurable to play. I've been getting back into Tome lately too, so you might see a little period of like increased roguelike content. We've been doing a lot of strategy, we've been doing a lot of survival stuff lately. And so I think I might spend some time and maybe kick off a couple of roguelites and roguelikes in the future. Just like some really, really hardcore ASCII type games, or maybe just like Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup or anything like that. I know that I'm not really branded for that content, but I'm kind of in the mood to play it, so I might do it anyways and just sort of damn the consequences. Is what it is. But actually, the Caves of Qud, typically my streams don't get that many views when I put them up on YouTube. People don't seem to be very interested. Caves of Qud did like twice as many as all the other ones though, so that's pretty cool. I mean, I like Caves of Qud. It's a really solid game, and so I might hit it up. Anything that I can have fun with while I play is typically a pretty good idea, because it means that I don't burn out on it quite as fast. But we don't have a whole lot of things in the future right now aside from Empyreon, and then I've got another game that's sort of like, I got it in my inbox today. The developer sent it to me. I'm going to play with it over the weekend. It's a weird game though. Like, it's a survival game that's set on a globe, and then the globe rotates very, very slowly while you're walking around. It's called Planetoid something rather. And it's an odd game, but it's like a physics-based, top-down action RPG survival game. Almost like Diablo 3, Diablo 2 meets... Like, it's a tough game. Path of Exile meets Terraria. It's a weird game. I've only seen footage for it so far. I haven't booted it up and played it just yet. But I'm excited about that one too, because from the footage I saw, I was like, yeah, that title looks pretty sweet. I'll probably hit that up pretty soon as well. But the Flame and the Flood is going to be on its way. No Pineapple Left Behind. I did the first episode. I think that it did okay, but I ran into too many bugs, and so I figured I'd let that one cool for a little while longer. I like the concept of the game, and I love the fact that the entire game was made out of spite. Like, some school principal just got angry at the way the government runs the school board and stuff like that, and so he's like, I'm going to make a video game about this. It's going to be a giant metaphor about how all of you suck. Like, I love the fact that the game is just like a giant metaphor for how much he hates like the school system in the United States. It cracks me up that like he was irritated enough to make an entire video game about it, and I respect that. I respect the level of frustration. And so I think that's pretty much what we got going on right now. Ark, I'm probably going to do episodes every now and again. I don't know if I'm going to go on the second. I just don't know. I don't think we can float. I don't think we can float a second season. Like, I kind of want to do it, but I can tell that I'm burned out with it right now, and I'm just sort of like, eh. Like, when it comes down to me recording Ark, I am a little burned out. I've got about 160 hours now, just for, like, the 50 episodes that we have. It took me 160 hours to get all of that footage, and it's just, that's a lot of time in a game that hasn't really, like, changed that much. Like, they keep adding new creatures and things like that, but at a certain point, I think boredom takes over of, like, taming things. I'm like, oh, look, I tamed another thing to sit next to my house. So, anyways, I don't know about Ark. I might just do an episode here or there. I think that might be what I do with it, as I don't actually formally retire it. It's just like whenever I'm in the mood, I crack out like 2 or 3 episodes, and then I space them out every now and again. But I don't know right there. I do have things that I want to announce for the future, but I can't go in on them just yet about are transitioning into really sort of like full-time streaming and things like that, I'm not leaving YouTube as far as I know right now. I should still be putting out a couple of videos a day, but I may be rolling back my schedule slightly in order to stream more frequently, because we've been making really solid headway on Twitch right now, and if I can expand the hours, I think the number one complaint I get from people about Twitch is that, like, but I can't make it to those because I have work or whatever else. And I think that I can get that, like, on a rotation, so that every day we're hitting, like, a different time zone or something like that for a couple of hours. I think I can do a little bit better right there, and that'll get more people included. But we're still going to be doing YouTube videos. That's still going to be my bread and butter and all that kind of stuff. But I am looking for ways to move into Twitch streaming more seriously, because I'm starting to get to the point on Twitch where I've got to make a decision whether or not I want this to be the same decision I had to make when I was a geologist about making YouTube full-time. Like, essentially, I've got to decide what I want to do and where I want to move margins around and what I can make work. And I do sincerely think that my skill sets are actually more in tune with Twitch than they are for YouTube. I have been frustrated with my progress on YouTube lately. And so I'm just trying to mix things up. I'm trying to make it so that I'm trying to get to the point where I feel a little bit more actualized, I suppose. Like, I've become very comfortable and complacent with YouTube, and there's not really much else I can do to sort of like push it forward. And because of that, I kind of just feel like I'm leaning against the wall, just like standing in the sunshine for a little while. And while that's cool for a little while, I'm the kind of person that if I don't feel like I'm hustling all the time, I just start to get into like a little bit of a, I don't know, just a little bit of a slump. And so I've definitely been feeling that the last month or two, and I just need to mix up my schedule a little bit and do something to get myself out of my head and back out and onto like the stage or in front of the camera or whatever it is, and entertain you guys a little bit better, because I don't think I've been doing a very good job lately, and I think based on metrics everybody else thinks that too. And so I think that that's going to be about it for this week's weekend review. I apologize if it seems a little bit dour. It's just I would rather be straightforward with everybody and talk about the way that I feel the channel's going. I definitely feel like we've hit not a brick wall, but I definitely feel like we've basically been on cruise control for like 6 months now. And I feel like I've gone as far as I can. Like, there's no way for me to accelerate further without becoming sort of like a... I could do more, but I would have to become sort of like a Dragast slash, you know, Markiplier, Jacksepticeye. Essentially, I would have to lean off of the full LPs. And to go any further with YouTube, I feel like I need to become a much more polished and edited product. And in order to do that, I just really don't feel like it, because I don't enjoy video editing. Like, seriously, it's the most boring thing on earth, and I just don't like doing it. And so, I don't know, I'm just shaking things up a little bit, trying to make sure that I don't, you know, gas out and pass out and all that fun stuff. So I'll see y'all next week. This is our weekend review series. We do it every Sunday, where we hang out for a little while, talk about the way things have been going on the channel, all the series that we have running. There should be some new things coming up soon. I'm excited to take a look at Empyrion with all of you. It releases on Tuesday to Steam, and so we should see a lot of new people coming in from right there, I think. I'll see y'all later. Hi to everybody, and I'll see you for next week. Bye-bye.